Welcome to the Binge List, fellow TV and film fanatics. I'm Greg, and I make recommendations for TV shows and movies that you can access from the comfort of your own home. And with every video that I post, I do have to warn viewers about graphic content and shows that I recommend, but this time I wanted to feature some truly amazing options without that disclaimer because you clicked on this video, so I'm going to assume that you can handle that type of content. And each series on this list is chock full of mature themed graphic content, but it's not what makes them great. They actually use these elements to add to the intensity and the impact, elevating the stories, the characters, and the overall experience. But before we get started, enter to win a $100 gift card by liking, commenting your favorite series down below, and subscribing to this channel to get entered into a drawing at the end of the month. So as always, stop mindlessly scrolling, stop wasting your time, and let's jump in and check it out.
We need to eliminate obstacles, find the breaking point. And when you smell blood, it's about recognizing that and going for the kill.
As we get started here, I did want to say that I did avoid some of the most popular and iconic shows like Game of Thrones and House of Dragons, Walking Dead and its spin-offs, even The Sopranos, The Boys, and even Squid Games, because even the most casual binge watchers have probably heard of them, so I didn't feel the need to recommend them here. They are outstanding options, and I highly recommend each one of them if you've not seen them yet. Let's get started with our first pick on the list today, and this is the gritty and intense drama Kingdom, which delves into the world of mixed martial arts. This series focuses on Alvy, played by Frank Grillo, who is a former MMA fighter turned gym owner who is now struggling to keep his business afloat, train the next generations of fighters, and manage his complicated relationship with his sons. At its core, Kingdom is a fairly emotional family drama that peels back layers of these complicated family ties and tackles serious themes like addiction, betrayal, and the quest for redemption. And I think Frank Grillo's performance in this series is absolutely incredible. It is both powerful and subtle, portraying a flawed man that you can't help but root for, well, most of the time. The supporting cast is also great in this. You've got Jonathan Tucker, whose acting is incredible, but we also get Nick Jonas, Matt Lauria, and Keely Sanchez, each bringing their own personal battles and depth to the story. But on the flip side, there is this raw, hard-hitting action all the way through this series. The show delivers, in my opinion, a realistic glimpse into the rigorous training and brutal physical and mental demands of this sport. It offers no shortage on brutal fight scenes too, both in and out of the octagon, and does not shy away from the dark side of this world with street fights, drug violence. So Kingdom is a gripping and often intense series that skillfully weaves together mature themes and this complex family dynamic with the brutal violence of the fight world. The only problem is that this one didn't last long enough, but it's still definitely worth checking out.
Some might think it's brutal. I say it's glorious.
Let's move forward and talk about the British crime drama series that dives deep into the criminal underworld with Gangs of London. And I know, who would have guessed it, a show about gangs is extremely violent, but yes, this show holds nothing back. This series picks up when the head of London's most powerful crime family is assassinated. It throws this city into chaos, and a power vacuum emerges, leading to brutal turf wars between rival gangs, corrupt politicians, and international organizations. I did feel like this show was pretty complex. It did include a ton of different elements that contributed to the story. Obviously, there is a ton of action that delivers some incredibly brutal and graphic scenes throughout, with more than enough intense, realistic, and even shocking fight scenes, shootouts, and gang violence. Plus, these actual events and confrontations make things incredibly intense and gripping, constantly not knowing what's going to happen to your favorite characters, which immerses you into this detailed world. And I know it's cliche to say, but it does keep you on the edge of your seat. And despite this unrelenting carnage and the overall quality of this story, I do think the show's complex and morally ambiguous characters are what keep you invested and drive it forward. You get a wide range of different characters, all vying for power, but the show does a really good job developing each one of these characters, and sometimes even an entire episode is dedicated to them, which results in a rich story and you truly get invested into. I will mention, I did read some reviews that I do agree with here. Season 1 was much better than Season 2. Not saying Season 2 is not worth watching, it's just incredibly difficult to live up to how good Season 1 was. So, Gangs of London, it's a shocking and immersive series with a great cast of characters that is worth checking out for yourself.
I'm recommending a psych eval. There's only one person on our list. Dr. Hannibal Lecter.
Let's continue moving forward and talk about a show that is as psychologically disturbing as it is violent, and this is Hannibal. This one does explore a very unique and disturbing relationship between FBI agent Will Graham, who is this brilliant but troubled profiler, and Dr. Hannibal Lecter, who is a renowned psychiatrist who secretly indulges in cannibalism. And I want to start by saying this show is crazy. It's dark, it's twisted, violent, and often downright horrifying, yet it's nearly impossible to turn away, and you become engrossed in this cat and mouse dynamic between Will and Hannibal during the show. While the FBI investigates a series of murders, the real killer, Hannibal, hides in plain sight, using his brilliance and cunning to outmaneuver everyone around him. And although the cast is strong overall, featuring Hugh Dancy, Lawrence Fishburne, and Gillian Anderson in memorable roles, this is absolutely Mads Mikkelsen's show, and it lives and dies with his performance. And he absolutely delivers. His portrayal of Dr. Lecter is chilling, captivating, perfectly embodying the character's intelligence, sophistication, and this truly unnerving calm demeanor. I did really enjoy this iteration of the character too. They take a deep look into his mind, exploring the blurred lines between sanity and madness, along with his motivations across all 3 seasons. Plus, visually, despite the horror and the gory moments, this is shot beautifully. It draws you right into this dark and unsettling atmosphere that keeps you on edge constantly when you're watching. This is one of my favorites on the list today. It's critically acclaimed, it's highly recommended for its stylish visuals, strong performances, and its exploration of these dark and disturbing themes. Perfect for those of you who enjoy psychological thrillers with a touch.
We tell you when to sleep, when to eat, when to piss. There is no yelling, no fighting, no f***ing questions.
Next up, we are sticking with HBO, and this one is the groundbreaking 1997 drama Oz. This is set in a fictional maximum security prison known as Oz. And the series delves into the daily struggles of inmates and guards in this special rehabilitation unit, and it zeroes in on the power battles, warring factions, and the explosive violence that shapes life behind bars. And if you're looking at the trailer clips on screen, I want you to keep in mind that this show did come out in 1997, so by today's standards, yes, the visual quality along with some of the effects and camera choices can feel a bit dated, but that's not what makes Oz great at this point. What truly sets it apart is its uncompromising realism. Oz is praised in every publication and review that I've read or watched for its raw, unfiltered portrayal of prison life, delving into taboo subjects with gory detail without pulling any punches. And that includes exactly what you'd envision when you think about prison: brutal beatings, stabbing, sexual violence, but it's all part of Oz's brutally honest depiction of this world, making it an uncompromising show that is way ahead of its time. Now, this cast is packed full of familiar faces, even some who've gone on to become A-listers or leading characters in other shows, so there are some excellent performances in here, but they make up this wide array of inmates and guards, each grappling with personal demons and this constant state of fear inside this haunting and claustrophobic setting that they explore. But one of my favorite parts of Oz is when you actually start watching this, there's this history there that you can feel. It feels like it existed long before you arrived in the prison, meaning there are feuds, conversations, and even disagreements and fights that already happened in this world, and you just kind of have to catch up to it, which it can be a bit confusing when you start, but you pick things up pretty quickly because the show has this relentless pace that throws you right into the thick of things, exposing you to a lot in almost every single episode. So ultimately, Oz was a groundbreaking show for its time that paved the way for future series with its boundary-pushing storytelling, and it's absolutely worth experiencing for yourself. Let's move forward and talk about the historical fiction series that tells the story of Spartacus. This man was torn from his homeland and separated from the woman he loves, was forced into slavery, and is now condemned to the bloody gladiator arena in Rome. As he navigates this violent and brutal world, he realizes that not all battles are fought in the arena. The show depicts the brutality of Roman society, not just in the gladiatorial arena, the horrors of slavery, and this bloody struggle for freedom. I'll say right away that this is probably one of, if not the most action-packed series on the list here today. There are a ton of titles that depict the gladiatorial fights in the arena, and someone slashes someone and really it's over, but honestly not Spartacus. This series fully embraces these visceral and intense moments with great choreography and iconic effects. These moments in the arena or large-scale battles are incredibly violent, but also well executed and absolutely stunning. This is another series that utilizes its mature rating for way more than just violence though, featuring a high level of sexual content, including tons of nudity and tons of explicit scenes. But they use these elements again to tell an excellent story. It is very well written with every detail seeming to connect and build up all the way through the series, and then they tie this together perfectly. There is one thing that I do want to say. Overall, the cast in this series is really strong, filled with strong performances. I love John Hannah, Manu Bennett, Peter Mensah, Lucy Lawless. The whole cast really brings the intensity in this series. And Andy Whitfield initially placed Spartacus in season 1 and was later recast by Liam McKintry, who fully embodies the character that Winfield created. This was due to Whitfield's tragic passing after a battle with cancer, and I hate that this happened to him or anyone really, because cancer sucks, and if you have not been affected by cancer at this point in your life, I hope you never have to. But if you're looking for a visually stunning and highly graphic series, Spartacus is an epic that should be at the top of your list.
Hello?
Dexter, I need you to go to an all-night pharmacy right away.
I'm kind of in the middle of something.
Whatever you're doing can wait.
Kids.
Our next pick is a series that does probably lean towards that more iconic side, but it did just have a prequel released, and both are excellent fits for this list, and this is Dexter. This series centers around the iconic character Dexter Morgan. In the original series, he is a forensic technician for the Miami Metro Police Department by day, but by night, he is this vigilante serial killer, meticulously targeting other criminals and murderers who have escaped justice. When I first started watching this show, I was absolutely obsessed. I would stay up every single night telling myself endlessly just one more episode. It was such an interesting premise with a super complex, morally ambiguous anti-hero who is technically a villain but has this code, so you feel like you can root for him and have this sense of justice at the same time, and even empathy for his struggles. It was really incredible, and Michael C. Hall is a treasure. I love him, and I love that they incorporated him into the prequel somehow. He is awkwardly funny, lovable, haunting, and captivating throughout this series with his performance and his narration of the series, perfectly capturing the inner turmoil and duality of his nature. The series is packed full of great characters that support him through 96 episodes, so again, another very hefty commitment with this one, but Jennifer Carpenter, David Zayas, Julie Benz, and so many others. Plus, you get a truly suspenseful and emotional narrative as Dexter tries to outsmart the police, have a family, and face off against other monstrous characters. I honestly can't say enough nice things about Dexter in this series. After writing this, I do believe that I love Hannibal, but this is my favorite on the list here today, and I definitely think this is worth checking out. And if you want more Dexter, the prequel series Dexter Original Sin was just released.
They're afraid of me because they should be. Maybe you should be too.
Find them both.
My next pick is actually a recommendation from the comment section, so as always, thanks for these great recommendations. But this is the action-packed crime series Banshee on Max. This one follows a recently paroled master thief, Lucas Hood, who assumes the identity of a newly deceased sheriff of a small town, Banshee, Pennsylvania. He is seeking to reconnect with his former lover and partner in crime, who now lives in this town. However, Lucas's past quickly catches up with him as he becomes entangled in local crime. And to be honest, this might be the best action show that I've never heard of until the comments recommended it to me. It is packed full of thrills, including intense shootouts, brutal fights, daring escapes, and often over-the-top stylized action sequences. And it's not all wham bam types of things. I did really enjoy the narrative here for this one too. The style of storytelling is nothing groundbreaking, but what makes it stand apart is the crazy bad stuff that is happening non-stop in this small rural town. You almost need to suspend your rational mind a bit to sit back and enjoy this, because just when you think you're getting a heartfelt or calmer moment in the show, the series will surprise you. And like most shows with a graphic nature like this series is very dark, it's very serious, but Banshee actually blends together a lot around that. You do have a lot of drama, you have some emotional moments, and even more humor in this one than you would anticipate. Plus, another great cast that delivers. You have the boys star Anthony Starr leading the way in this one, but also Frankie Faison, Hoon Lee, Ulrich Thompson, and Lily Simmons, all providing quality performances of their own, adding in a lot of those other elements. So if you love a crazy, over-the-top, and action-packed series, Banshee has got you covered.
On the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming.
So let's move back to another title that is as psychologically disturbing as it is graphic, with the suspenseful crime series The Following. This series centers around Ryan Hardy, who is drawn back into this world of serial killers when Joe Carroll, a charismatic and psychotic killer he previously put behind bars, amasses a cult following of other serial killers, and they embark on a killing spree across the country. When I first watched this series, I knew nothing about it. I didn't watch the trailer or have a great recommendation channel that you should probably give a like or subscribe subscribe to, but it had Kevin Bacon, and I always enjoyed his performances. And yes, Bacon does deliver another solid performance in this as this haunted and determined agent, but James Purfoy as Joe Carroll is scene-stealingly good in this. Purfoy and Mads Mikkelsen, who we talked about earlier in Hannibal, portray these truly evil characters that just make you feel uneasy when they speak or even interact with other characters. And Purfoy has this ability to turn from chilling to charismatic and then to manipulative, all within the same monologue. It is captivating to watch, and not to mention he has great dynamics with Bacon when they are on screen together, which does end up creating this suspenseful and thrilling atmosphere that this show thrives off of. And there are a lot of shows that talk about serial killers, but I really like the curveball that they threw in this one, where yes, you do explore that disturbing psychology, but they also interject the dangerous allure of cult mentality here too. I do want to mention that this show does come with a few flaws. I don't think it's anything major. It's still on this list. I definitely recommend it, but you do see some characters doing the dumbest things you've ever seen. And then also in later seasons, the plot does get a little bit twist heavy. It just does twist for the sake of twisting. And that is kind of what the show is built on, but it gets a little crazy. But with that being said, if you are looking for a thrilling crime series with an outstanding lead duo, the following is a great place to start.
We worked hard to create this business.
We served time. We lost brothers. We spilled a lot of blood.
So let's move forward and talk about the gritty drama series that follows the lives of the Sons of Anarchy Motorcycle Club, or Sam Crow. This is an outlaw motorcycle club operating in the fictional town of Charming, California. The series itself does follow Jax Teller as the club grapples with internal conflict, rival gangs, corrupt law enforcement, and the challenges of maintaining their power and legacy. And even though this series does revolve around the lead Jax and a few other main characters for the most part, one of my favorite things that this show did over its 7 seasons was literally introduce you to what felt like almost all the characters of this world. Some more than others, of course, but you get to know a lot of these complex characters and their relationships with one another. So as things happen and events unfold, one, you know the rules of the club, but you also know who is going to act or react in a certain way, because this show almost makes you feel like you are part of this club with how immersed you are in this world, reacting to moments as if you're part of this brotherhood, but maybe that's just me. Then on the other hand, this always felt very gritty and realistic with a top-notch cast and a ton of intense action sequences, including thrilling motorcycle chases, gunfights, hand-to-hand combat, and everything really in between. So if you want to dive into the world of an outlaw motorcycle club with a focus on violence, family, and a struggle for power, Sons is a great watch.
Shoot on sight.
My pleasure.
Now, my next pick you can find on Disney Plus, and that already feels weird, a violent and graphic show on Disney. Disney only inherited this one. It was the Netflix Marvel series, The Punisher. Now, this series focuses on Frank Castle, who was a Marine turned vigilante after his family is brutally murdered. Driven by an insatiable thirst for revenge, he wages a one-man war on the criminal underworld, employing brutal and lethal force on anyone who gets in his way. And I have recommended this title before, and I said this last time, I'm not sure exactly how many times The Punisher has gotten a show or a movie, but I know that Jon Bernthal's version is by far my favorite. To me, he is the Punisher. Bernthal delivers a raw and intense performance as Frank Castle, capturing this character's physicality, his rage, and the internal turmoil that he is dealing with constantly. But the show's not all rage. He does give this role a ton of heart and emotion, which turned what could have been a very one-dimensional character that it was hard to root for into someone that you could really connect with. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a small part of the series. This really is an action-packed, dark superhero show that, yes, is packed full of tons of intense and graphic violence, exactly what you clicked on this video for. He becomes this one-man army a ton of different times in the show that takes down enemies with no remorse. And I said this before, but no good superhero show is complete without a compelling bad guy, which we get with Ben Barnes in this one here. He is another villain on our list here today that is charming and charismatic at first, but when he does show his true colors, he is absolutely ruthless and manipulative. And I personally love superhero shows like Punisher, and yes, this is an outstanding option, but if you've seen it or want some other options, you can check out the video right here.
I am going to remove your penis in thin slices, like salami.
It's gonna take you a long time. If you know what I mean. He knows what I mean.
If up to this point you are thinking to yourself, all of these shows are too boring and normal for me, well then I think I have the perfect option here with my next pick, and this is Happy. This is based on a graphic novel of the same name and follows Nick Sachs, who is a washed up, drug addicted ex-cop who turned into this deranged hitman. And after a botched job, he is killed and then quickly resuscitated and starts to hallucinate a small blue winged unicorn named Happy. And Happy is this imaginary friend of a young girl who has been kidnapped by this deranged man dressed as Santa Claus. And now Nick, guided by his unconventional advice from Happy, embarks on a twisted and violent rescue mission. Like I said, this show is anything but normal. The lead character is this anti-hero who dies multiple times, talks to an imaginary creature, and never takes anything too seriously, and this just gives you a truly unique and disturbing experience that blends together this world of graphic violence, dark humor, and a bit of fantasy, to be honest. And if you're watching the trailer clips on screen, you are seeing Christopher Maloney here. Yes, the same Christopher Maloney who has played Elliot Stabler on Law and Order for probably, 40 years at this point. And yes, he plays this psychotic and badass lead character. And going into this, I had no idea what to expect, but he is great with the performance that he gives. Everything in this show is turned up to its extreme, including his character, who is ridiculous, over the top, and most of the time excessively violent. And supporting Maloney, you do have Patton Oswalt, who is the voice of Happy, this imaginary unicorn, which leads to a bunch of the laughs in the series and some fun on-screen chemistry between their characters. On top of all that, if you are a fan of the Crank movies with Jason Statham, you will absolutely recognize the distinct visual style during the action sequences here, which again, it's just another element that adds to the wacky and graphic nature of this series. So if you want dark, you want twisted, and you want absolutely bonkers, this series is a great watch.
Here we go, boys! Look at me! You wanna live? Get off the bench! Move!
So let's move from the wild and wacky to something a bit more serious here with HBO's miniseries co-created by Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, and this is The Pacific. Now, you can watch this on Max, but at the time of this recording, this is also available on Netflix, and this is a series that tells the harrowing true story of US Marines fighting in the Pacific during World War II. This series really focuses in on the experiences of these three different Marines. You have Robert, Eugene, and John. And I say this every time that I recommend a based on a true story option, but I do feel like it always raises the stakes for me, knowing what you are seeing on screen actually happened in some capacity. And everything I've ever read about this one says that the production team strive for historical accuracy, capturing the realities of this war with unflinching honesty, which includes a lot of graphic recreations of the horrors of war, including brutal combat scenes, graphic injuries, and the intense psychological trauma that these soldiers faced. Like many of the others, this does have a top-notch cast. You've got Joseph Mazzello, James Badge Dale, John Cena, Rami Malek, Josh Hellman, and Tom Hanks as the narrator in this one. So really all of them deliver powerful and moving performances, bringing the stories of these real men to life. So if you are looking for a powerful and moving miniseries that offers a sobering and unforgettable look at the realities of war, The Pacific is a great addition to your watch list.
That is how you already see it. In need of saving.
I do.
Our men have been out there in unimaginable temperatures.
On to our next title here, and let's talk about the series The Tear. This is a supernatural, semi-historical horror anthology series where each season is inspired by a different infamous or mysterious real-life historical tragedy. And I've only personally seen the first season, so that is what I'm recommending here at this point. But the first season is great. It's a chilling true story of Sir John Franklin's doomed Arctic expedition to find the Northwest Passage. And we see things quickly escalate when they get trapped in ice. This crew faces not only the brutal elements, but also a terrifying supernatural threat. This show will make you feel uncomfortable. From start to finish, it has this eerie mood, and it escalates quickly into this psychologically haunting mood. The creative team does a great job bringing this to life with a chilling atmosphere that is full of dread and paranoia, and it just builds and builds episode to episode. And you can see that through a combination of stunning visuals that capture the harsh and unforgiving nature of the Arctic landscape, and then the cast itself, they give great performances that capture the fear fear and desperation of all of these characters, using the setting to invoke a sense of isolation, along with outstanding sound design and some truly unsettling and graphic moments to keep you on edge. And on top of all that, I did think that season 1's plot was well written. It moves at a decent pace, blending together all of these different genres, and because it's an anthology series, it does have a satisfying end to this series with very limited ambiguity. So if you're looking for a fairly quick bingeable option, The Terror is a chilling and atmospheric series that fits the bill. And finally, last but not least on our list here today is the dark spaghetti western series that tells the story of Red Bill, and this is That Dirty Black Bag. Red Bill is a bounty hunter known for decapitating his victims and collecting their heads in this dirty black bag. But the series really picks up when his path crosses with Sheriff Arthur McCoy in this lawless frontier town, and their encounters set off a chain of violence, betrayal, and bloody revenge. And to be honest, I never knew how many westerns I actually really enjoyed until I started this channel, because it's not a genre that I typically would gravitate towards, but this is one that I really enjoyed. And first, it looked really cool. The cinematography draws you into this world that's filled with rustic towns and immersive landscapes. And since you clicked on this video, I'm going to assume that you will appreciate the dark, gritty realism of the show. It features intense violence and other graphic scenes that define this. And not to sound like a broken record here, but this is another title where the cast, in my opinion, is one of the best parts. I personally love Dominic Cooper. I also thought that Neve Sultan and Patterson Joseph really bring life to these complex characters they're playing, but Douglas Booth is definitely my favorite. He is intense in this series here and delivers this really emotional and powerful performance here, showing off a lot of range in this character. The one negative I will say about this show here is that I didn't always love how slow things develop, so pacing can be a smidge off, but that is a minor hiccup and a rather enjoyable show. So whether you are a Western fan or just like visually stunning and graphic revenge stories, this is a solid watch. That's going to do it for our list today, everybody. As always, thanks a ton for hanging out with us all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And if you're looking for more recommendations, you can check out these videos right here, but also take a minute to enter to win that $100 gift card by liking, subscribing, and commenting your favorite series down below. Thanks again. We'll see you in the next one.